Hey guys, welcome back to the internet. Sorry I didn't make a video yesterday, I guess I was just too busy playing WoW Classic, but I finally hit level 60 at least. But you guys don't care about that, you're just here for the stories. Just following the dress code. So a couple years ago, I worked retail in a store geared toward children. A very magical store. Lots of princesses, superheroes, rodents, you get the picture. Our store had about 25 female employees, including all of management, and 3 male employees. The dress code was incredibly strict. We had a uniform that had to be ironed all the time. No visible tattoos, only natural hair colors. Women were encouraged to wear makeup and style their hair. Men were to either be clean-shaven or have fully grown-in facial hair. For some reason, one particular manager was intent on nitpicking me regarding the dress code, even when I was in complete compliance of it. I was constantly told that I needed to iron it better, so I started getting it dry cleaned, and somehow that still wasn't enough. I wore very minimal makeup, and she constantly told me I should wear more, though she couldn't make me. Hair bows were a big thing at the store, and people made and gave as presents custom ones, highlighting characters. They weren't exactly against dress code, but they did push the limits. Regardless, this particular manager seemingly only had an issue with them when I wore them. Once, she got down on her hands and knees with a ruler to prove my pant hem was too long, only to be proven wrong. There were also some conversations about my appearance that, looking back, were definitely body shaming. As a side note, this particular manager was a natural brunette, but she dyed her hair black and bleached a portion of her hair underneath so that it would show. She was a self-proclaimed bro-ho. If you need a more clear idea, point is, her hair pushes the edge of what I would consider natural. I got the itch to dye my hair, and before working for the store, I had always loved to color my hair all sorts of colors. However, with the dress code, only natural hair colors were allowed, so I came up with a compromise. Silver. I went in and had my hair professionally lightened and dyed silver. The next day I worked, the district and regional managers were visiting the store. I was always picked to work those days because I had the best stage presence and knowledge of the company, and those two were always impressed by me. When I showed up to work that day with my new shiny silver hair, my store managers were appalled. They wanted to send me home immediately, and for whatever reason, they decided to talk to me in front of the higher-ups. This is a paraphrasing of the convo. "You're in major violation of the dress code." "How so?" "Your hair isn't a natural color." "Yes it is. Gray is a natural color." "But you aren't gray yet." "So?" "So it looks unnatural to be all gray." "Are you saying that we can't dye our hair at all if it's not a color that would grow out of our heads naturally at this moment?" "No, you can dye your hair. It just can't be obviously fake. It needs to look real." I pointed at the manager, who was constantly on me. "Your hair is half black and half bleached blonde. I feel like that looks way more unnatural than my gray hair." I turned to the higher-ups and asked if I was in violation. They agreed with me that I was not. I also showed them one of my bows, and they fawned over it and even asked me for directions on how to make one. In the end, I got to keep my silver hair and my bows, and my manager was told that her hair was actually a dress code violation, and she had to dye it before coming in the next day. Man, I don't think I would last very long in a strict dress code type environment. I mean, first of all, it would be kind of hard for me to get in most places, with my hair alone. But what I don't understand is when people have uniforms that they're supposed to wear every single day, are you supposed to just do laundry every single day? Because that just seems a little excessive. Lady, you think you're smart, which is not the same as actually being smart. So I sell glasses in a big box store. I had a 60-something lady come in that basically had the condescending, "I've never worked a day in my life, so I'm above you" attitude about her. You know the type. The arm had snapped off of her glasses, and she wanted to know if I could put her lenses in a new frame. This isn't an uncommon request in itself. They didn't come from our shop originally, so I explained that the lens has to be very close matched to the new frame, and it can be hard to find that because suppliers like to use different patterns, so you have to go back to the original shop. I'm still happy to see if I can find her one though. I go over and start seeing if there's ones I can make work. This is like hunting a needle in a haystack, and there are usually only 1 or 2 frames at most that will work. Basically, you have to take what you can get, and it's rarely the ideal color or style. Her original frame is a narrow rectangle. The lens size is 52mm wide and maybe 32mm tall at most. Most optical frames have a width stamped on the side, so she sees a 52 on the inside of hers. She pulls down the massive cat eye frames. It's in the 45mm tall range. Her lens is a skinny rectangle. This is a tall trapezoid. This says 52 on the inside. Mine says 52 on the inside. They're the same size. I want these. So I'm dumbfounded, but try to be as polite as I can. I reply, "Ma'am, I'm sorry, but 52 is the width of the lens. While these two have the same width, they don't have the same height. Your lens is way too small for the frame. We'll have to go with a shorter one that's closer to a rectangle." Well, this was not acceptable. She reiterates, "This says 52, mine is 52, they are the same. 52 and 52 are the same number." Ma'am, I understand that, but 52 is the width. These lenses are not even close to the same shape. I even hold her lens up to the taller one to show her. I have no way to stretch your lens. That's not something that can be done. We have to find one closer to the same height and shape. But they both say 52. What don't you understand about that? 52 and 52 are the same. It's the same size. Why can't you seem to understand that? She says this like I'm a moron who probably can't even count to 52. This lady seemed to think she'd found some archaic knowledge by matching these two numbers, like it was a shoe size. If it matches, it works. After about 10 minutes of back and forth with two coworkers backing me up, she just refused to believe me and left in a huff. I like to imagine she struggled with fitting the square block through the circular hole as a child. Stories like this remind me why I'm happy I don't work retail. But I guess that's why they call it Tales from Retail. Ticket. Can you remove these ugly box things from under our desks? So I received a ticket from a company we provide IT infrastructure and support to. The company is a marketing company with specific requirements and budget, so there was no going away from tower PCs. One day I received a ticket from their department manager asking me to remove the ugly boxes as they don't need them. I decided to call and explain about the boxes. So me on the phone say, "Hello, IT support, me speaking." The department manager says, "Oh good, you're calling to arrange collection? I would like the boxes collected in precisely 1 hour, as we are going to a conference later." We were talking about disconnecting about 40 PCs. I say, "No, I'm not calling to schedule a meeting, but to explain that if we remove these boxes, you won't be able to use the computers." He says, "Do you think I'm stupid?" I was like, "No, I'm just explaining that you won't be able to use your computer without the computers being connected to the screen." He says, "What are you talking about? I don't look under my table to use the computer. Look, you obviously don't know what you're talking about. I want to talk to somebody who knows about IT. Oh, and I want your first name and surname so that I can make a complaint." I say, "Here's my name. I'm not giving you my surname for data protection, and I do know what I'm talking about. Trust me, if you remove the actual computer, the box you are referring to won't be able to use the computer." He says, "Watch the space," and then slams the phone down. I close the job documenting everything. A week's gone by, and we get an emergency call out, stating that none of their computers are working. We arrive to find the computer towers have all been cut free from their cages and removed. I say, "What happened to all the towers?" He says, "I told you to watch the space. I got a professional team to remove the boxes. See, it is possible." I say, "No, I don't see. Now you can't use the computers." What a lot of nonsense. Just get the internet working so that we can use the computers again. I was like, "No, what happened to the computers?" He says, "Are you stupid or something? They're here," referring to the monitors. I say, "Okay, what happened to the boxes?" He says, "They took them to the skip." I say, "Right now you are telling me that you threw away leased computers which are worth £1,300 each? I want to speak to your boss now." He says, "He's in a meeting." I said, "Get him now, this is very serious." He says, "Okay." Then the boss says, "First you refused to do your job, and now you pulled me out of a meeting? Where are all the computers, by the way?" I say, "Your department manager threw them away, and we need to get them back now, as they have sensitive data on them." His boss says, "Where are the computers?" I said, "You mean the boxes?" "Yes, they're headed to the skip." We drove to the skip, but there was no record of these computers being brought in. 2 weeks later, the company suffered data breach, which, along with the damage bill, caused the company to go into administration. It was escalated. I didn't write much about what happened, because the entire situation was dealt with by my boss's boss, who wasn't providing much information. I'm told that the department manager was arrested, and that all the computers were retrieved by the police, but that's where my knowledge ends. How do you work in an office and not realize what a computer is? Like, have you just grown up always using all-in-one, like, Macs? I seriously don't know how anyone could be that oblivious. So I know I've mentioned this before in a few videos, but like, every now and then I'll cut stories that I had initially pulled for the video. I've gotten a lot more picky lately over what stories I'll want to put in the videos. I guess it's just because, like, you know, I've done like so many hundreds of stories. And whenever I come across ones that are just poorly written, or they're just the same crap that I've already heard 100 times, I just can't even get myself to finish reading them sometimes. So yeah, that's why these videos have gotten a little bit shorter lately. But we still have the question. So a couple days ago we had the question that was like, what rule did you see that got put in place that backfired? Well, today's question is pretty similar. It's just, what is your best, well, that backfired story? I decided to burn some newspaper outside in a toilet I had just replaced, because I didn't want risking the grass catching on fire. Well, the heat caused the toilet to explode, sending burning newspaper everywhere. The grass caught fire. Huh, well I guess I'll remember that next time I want to have a fire pit in a toilet. When I was a kid at summer camp, I once attached some skyrockets to one of those balsa wood gliders. I tossed it out towards the lake after lighting the rockets, and it flew normally for a few seconds, until the rockets kicked in. It shot straight up, looped over our heads, and landed right on one of the counselors. No bug juice for me that night. Huh, this sounds like something that'd be fun to experiment with. I had friends at a lunch table who always made fun of this girl who sat by herself. I invited her to our table one day because I felt bad for her. Yup, you can see where this is going. She immediately and 100% replaced me, and they all realized it was even more awesome to make fun of me. Joke's on them, I got to eat lunch with my civics teacher after that. Hey, we're all just taking turns being the outcast. It is kind of strange though when you think about it, because I remember back in school, it seemed like the number of people who you could really consider outcasts was always like in the single digits. And so I have to wonder, like, does every school just like have to have those people? Because even though there's always such a low number of them, they're just always there. I don't know, I kind of fell into that category for a while too, but a lot of the time it was just because I didn't want to deal with people. In my first apartment, I had a bag vacuum, as opposed to a canister vacuum, and the bag was full. I had no replacement bags, so I used painter's tape to attach a Walmart bag. I thought I was a frugal genius, and patted myself on the back as I switched it on. Didn't work at all. Almost immediately, the bag flew right off, and a bunch of dirt blew all over the place. All the dirt that was stuck in the vacuum since the previous bag was full. I hate dealing with vacuums. I mentioned the other day that I pretty much destroyed my old vacuum because of how much hair I and my cat produce. So I had to go out and buy a more expensive one. Not me, but my brothers. My second older brother got a really bad sunburn while out at the outdoor swimming pool, and my oldest brother told him to put this deep heat cream on it. This is the kind of cream you put on for muscle pain, and it heats up. Well, long story short, my second older brother does this, and has to go to the hospital for a heat stroke. Never seen my dad shout so much in my life. Man, that sounds terrible. I had one of my worst sunburns ever, like a month ago, and it hurts to pretty much touch it with anything, so I can't even imagine this. For April Fools, I was planning to do an innocent prank by putting an air horn under my teacher's chair, so that when he sat down it would trigger it and startle him. But he got too startled and jumped out of his seat, landed on his back, and got knocked unconscious. See, that doesn't sound like a prank that backfired, that sounds like a prank that just worked a little bit too well. A girl I knew dated a guy I was also friends with. Really sweet, doting guy, not the best looking, but a really lovely lad. I went on a night out with his girlfriend, my partner at the time, and his friend Jay. We drank and danced, and at the end of the night, my friend and Jay were kissing. We spoke the next day, and she swore it was a one-off, but ended up meeting him twice after that. So I told her if she didn't tell her partner, I would, as he was my friend too and didn't deserve it. In the end, I told him and he thanked me. Then she spoke to him, cried a river, and managed to talk him around into forgiving her and falling out with me. Been a few years since, and neither one spoke to me since. They're still together, but I don't know how he can trust her. Huh, sounds like you just got some crappy friends. Sitting on an airplane doing a crossword puzzle, my pen stopped writing, so I snapped it up and down a couple of times. Ah, the pen works again. Well, the guy beside me starts freaking out and yelling for the stewardess. I look over at him to see a thin line of black ink running from the left shoulder of his crisp, starched white shirt to the right hip of his pants. I pretended like I had been asleep, and he blamed some random kid across the aisle. The airline gave him a voucher or something to pay for the dry cleaning. You know, sometimes things don't really go according to plan, but you just gotta make the best of it. Anyway, I think tomorrow is my scary story video day, so video will be in the evening. I don't think I'll do a live stream this Sunday. Also, don't be too surprised if I take like 1 or 2 days off a week. You know, I get kind of burnt out reading these stories, so some days I really just don't feel like doing it. And it's made even worse that when I actually do try and do a video, I just keep running into just crappy stories I have to end up cutting anyway. But anyways, thanks for watching everybody, and I'll talk to you guys next time.